Hi, this is Tony Hernando from the band Lords of Black, and you are listening to Sonic Perspectives.
Hi everyone, Rodrigo here from Sonic Perspectives. I have here on the line the man behind the six strings in bands like Saratoga, ex-Rodrigo Altaf, and his own band Lords of Black, Mr. Tony Hernando. How are you, man?
Doing very good. How are you?
Good.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Toronto, actually.
Oh, that's good.
And you're in Spain?
Yes, I'm in Madrid right now, yes.
Oh, good. I visited Madrid a while ago, and it's a great city. So let's, to start this interview, let's make a little bit of history for those unfamiliar with the band's origins. How did the collaboration with Ronnie Romero came to fruition, and how did Lords of Black came to be as a musical collective?
Okay, the band has been around for 4 years now. Actually, right now, May is 4 years exactly from when we released our debut album, Lords of Black 1. But Ronnie and me, we met 1 year before when I was the main guy arranging a Ronnie James Dio tribute concert here in Madrid, a very important, large tribute concert. So I kind of put an all-star band with me on guitar and as a musical director, and I chose some of the best musicians of the hard rock and heavy metal scene here in Spain. Probably the most famous guys, the best singers, and one bass player, 3 or 4 drummers, because we were going to play like 22, 25 songs from all the Ronnie James Dio catalog. And I didn't know about Ronnie at that point. Just somebody told me about this guy that had a similar voice and everything. And I'm the hugest Ronnie James Dio fan you can possibly meet, you can possibly get. So I called him and we met at the first rehearsals, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was like love at first sight, because for me, Ronnie James Dio was the best of all time. Probably Ronnie James Dio and Freddie Mercury are my favorite singers, maybe Steve Perry as well. But so hearing somebody very close to you, like 1 or 2 meters around you, singing with that kind of timbre and sensibility, it was really special. And the way I work and the way I'm very professional and very focused and very committed to everything I do was something that Ronnie loved in the first place as well. So we did this concert. We didn't talk anything about getting together for a project or whatever, because at that time, both Ronnie and myself were engaged with other bands and projects. So I don't like to work, behind backs of anybody or whatever. So we didn't even talk about that. But we knew that somehow, sooner or later, we were going to be working together, because the chemistry, it was undeniable. It was there, absolutely. So at the end of that year, 2013, my band was over. We were doing a farewell tour or whatever, and I decided to call him to see what's going on. And Ronnie told me he was not engaged with anybody at that moment, and we start working together. And it was pure magic from the beginning. We put all the songs together for the debut album like in maybe 1 or 2 months, and so we released that album, the first album. It was very successful, and we start playing, opening for famous bands who were on tour here in Spain, like Unisonic or Helloween, even Gotthard. And then I guess it was just word of mouth, and then it happened, all the rainbow thing. It happened that Richie Blackmore called Ronnie Romero, and one thing led to another, And all I know is we have a formal, serious record deal contract with Frontiers Records, and everything set up for the second album. Second album has been hugely successful. We've been touring like 2 years. We've been touring in Europe several times. We've been touring in Japan. We even got to play at a prestigious and famous Prog Power festival in Atlanta last year. So it was, very, very fast and very exciting these last 2 years. And we have a new album coming out right now, the third album, Icons of the New Days. So that's my history so far about the beginnings of the band.
Yeah, we'll get to the new album very soon. And before that, where does the name of the band come from, Lords of Black? Do you have an inclination for darker themes by any chance?
Not really. Actually, many people ask me if I'm writing Christian lyrics or if I'm Christian, because the material, the lyrics are very, very positive. In the end, they are very dramatic, but mostly, if you go deep, you could easily say they are love songs, actually, because for me it's everything about good fighting and beating evil. And with that, I'm not meaning I'm Christian or religious or whatever, because my personal beliefs I prefer to keep to myself. But for sure, I'm a very positive person that believe in good and not in evil, and believe in humanity. And Lords of Black, actually, it was the concept behind it was like a secret society of superheroes, like Batman or Daredevil or Superman or whatever. So superheroes doing the right thing, like fighting the evil from the shadows. So that's the whole concept of Lords of Black. So I'm sorry to disappoint you. It's not a black metal band or a Nordic metal band.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Now, talking about the new release, there's clearly a step up in every release of this band so far. From 1 to 2, you can definitely hear the evolution, and now it's like a whole new world has opened up. How do you think the sound and direction of the band has evolved since albums 1 and 2 and now?
Well, Icons of the New Days is a very ambitious record. It's true, we've been working like almost 2 years on it, but we had some touring in between, so it has been a very difficult record to finish, actually. Some recordings are very smooth, they are a breeze, and some other recordings are like pulling teeth. And this one definitely has been, at least for me as the producer and the main guy from the get-go, has been like pulling teeth. So it's also because we are really ambitious and we always go that extra mile. It's very difficult to please ourselves as artists and as musicians. And this record is going to be a tough one in the first impression, in the first listening for everybody, even for our hardcore fans, because I think it's more dense or more deep with longer songs. I'm not saying it's more progressive, but it's more dense. So you have a few songs that are really quite long and quite elaborated, and you have to give the album a little bit more time, which is difficult in nowadays, because people nowadays tend to listen maybe like 30 seconds or maybe 1 minute on a song on YouTube or whatever, and that's it. It's not like back in the day when I was buying an album like Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche or Seventh Son of a Seventh Son by Iron Maiden, and I was a teenager and I knew those albums were going to be marvelous, fabulous, but I knew I had to give them some time. I wouldn't expect being just with the first listening being so happy and over the top. So I hope our fans get the album a good opportunity and get deep into it, and then they will be discovering beautiful things, I'm sure.
Absolutely, I have to agree with you. And just to hear you mention Operation Mindcrime and Seven Son of a Seventh Son, I think we fall in the same age bracket more or less, because I'm 43 years old, and back in the days I used to get like 1 or 2 albums a month, and I knew I had to spend time listening to them. Nowadays the attention span is a bit shorter, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And another question I have is Roland Grapow of Helloween and Masterplan. He was involved in the production of your first 2 albums. Did he participate on Icons of the New Days as well?
Yeah, Roland has been with us from the beginning. He's a very close friend of mine, and he has been working with me even way before, even when I was recording one of my instrumental solo albums. So we got together like 10 or 12 years ago, and we get along very well from the beginning. We really hit it off from the start, and has been one of my best friends in business up till now. And I knew I wanted Roland from the beginning for being a co-producer with me and the guy in charge of the mixing and mastering on the albums of Lords of Black. So Roland is a huge fan of the band. I'm a huge fan of his. I've been a huge fan of his songwriting and playing for many years, and he's a incredible guy, very good friend of mine. So I completely trust in him. He comes with some suggestions, with some ideas that they are very cool. He knows I'm very stubborn as well. Ronnie is. So we know really what we want, and it's very rare that Roland tells me, Tony, stop that, it's not the right direction to go, whatever. That actually never happened, but he may add, why don't you try this and that? And yeah, at the end, the call is mine, but I really like to hear his feedback because he's really nice. He's an incredible professional with a lot of wisdom and experience. So it's great working with Roland.
Understood. And would you say that touring extensively for albums 1 and 2, would you say that this amount of touring has influenced how Icons of the New Days was composed?
Yes, mostly touring had something to do very strongly on the second album, because we didn't know with the first album, we didn't have a clue of how the people were going to react on a live situation, and we learned which songs related better on a live environment, on a live situation. So I guess Lords of Black album 2 was more influenced by that, and we came up with some more straightforward and easy songs, if you will. Not really easy, not really commercial as such, but more straightforward. With this album, I think we have been more selfish again, like doing just what we want to do to please ourselves and explore a few little new things we had not explored before. So even I don't think this album is a conceptual album as such. It really has that old school vibe of here it's an album that is conceived to be enjoyed from start to finish and get very deep into it. It almost has a cinematic vibe to it, and it's something that happens to us naturally from the first steps on the writing process way into the recording and mixing process. So I don't know. I think it's a very powerful and deep, meaningful album, I think.
And we touched on Ronnie Romero's involvement with Richard Blackmore. He's been with him in Rainbow since 2015. Would you say that his involvement with Rainbow influenced the band's exposure positively or negatively?
Everything has been incredibly great because I myself, I'm huge Richie Blackmore and Rainbow fan, of course. it was very special for me as a friend, and as a bandmate, helping Ronnie when Richie called him. Probably I was the first guy to know. Ronnie called me, the first guy to know. Tony, you know who just called me? And I knew that sooner or later someone of that caliber was going to call him. But I was not afraid about losing Ronnie for this project or whatever, because Ronnie actually founded this band with me, and is his main thing, the band where he where he is himself, himself 100% of the time. So in other situations he may be singing all songs that have been recorded and sung by famous vocalists before, so it's difficult for him not to be compared with those other great guys. But Richie has been incredible and a great gentleman, and very supportive of Ronnie and the band, and it was really great from the beginning. I'm really happy for the situation. Yeah.
And has Richie been able to check out your material and make comments on it by any chance?
Oh yeah, but he's so reserved. He may only tell Ronnie something, I'm just Ronnie comments to me, but it's a very private thing. It's like he's very supportive, and he really likes the band and my guitar playing and everything, but he's so personal. He's not the kind of guy who is going to be posting or saying anything at all, and we respect that, and we love him because Richie has been a pivotal and very important guitar player and a musician overall, very influential in all we know as musicians right now. So you have to give him credit, because without Richie Blackmore, many of those vocalists maybe wouldn't have any career at all, and obviously Deep Purple and Rainbow were something that we all owe something to them, if you know what I mean.
Indeed, yeah. And speaking specifically of your guitar playing, in the new album I hear a bit of Jason Becker here and there, Marty Friedman, Yngwie Malmsteen, Michael Romeo in your technique. Would you say those guys were an influence on you? And has anyone else in particular been your guitar hero growing up?
Oh, well, you just mentioned the best of the best.
Of course.
Yeah, so I always try to be up with those guys. I grew up with those guys. Jason Becker was probably going to be the best guitarist of all time, and luckily it happened with him. Thank God he's still alive and strong, and he's a beautiful human being. Always, we all learn about him even today. Marty Friedman as well, one of my favorite players. Yngwie Malmsteen, one of my favorites, probably the best guitarist even today. I don't think anybody in the last 35 years has come up close to him in terms of passion and accuracy on his playing and everything. So I don't know. I grew up in the beginning more with guys like Randy Rhoads, Gary Moore, Vivian Campbell was one of my earliest influences. Then I discovered that Vivian Campbell, of course, were very influenced by Gary Moore as well. John Sykes also was one of my favorites. And then I discovered Yngwie Malmsteen and all the Shrapnel Records guys. I remember buying every single of those records, Tony McAlpine, Joey Tafoya, Jason Becker, Cacophony, and learning everything I could note for note. Vinnie Moore has been one of my main influences as well. So yeah, definitely.
Okay. And was there any influence in your music upbringing that came up from outside the realms of rock and metal, like jazz or classical music?
Oh yeah, definitely. Jazz and classical music were my first love, actually. So I started actually on classical guitar in the Conservatory of Music when I was like 9 years old or whatever. And then I discovered rock, and you can imagine what I felt when I discovered that in rock there was something they call neoclassical thing. So that was the beginning of the end for me. So that's when I changed for electric guitar, and then I was very into jazz and blues thing when I was studying at GIT in United States and everything during 90s. It was a very interesting and exciting rock fusion scene back then with those bands like Scott Henderson and Tribal Tech and Alan Holdsworth and all those guys. But at the end, I came back when it was time to record my own music and compose and be professional with my own music. I'm a rock musician and I'm a rock guitar player. So, yeah, completely, yeah.
Understood. And one thing that's noticeable in the new album is the really tight mix. How involved were you in the production, and how happy are you with the finished product?
Well, obviously, I'm never happy. Never. I'm never happy. Right now, well, the album is been out just for one day, but the album was completely done and delivered to the record label like maybe in January or something like that. It's very rare that I will be ever listening to those songs, at least on the CD. It's very rare because now I only listen the mistakes or the things I would love to change now, and which is too late.
I see.
But that's something very personal that maybe nobody notice, nobody get it. It's just the way I'm hearing the music or the lyrics or whatever, or the production or the mixing right now. So except for the songs that we are actually right now rehearsing for the live performances, I don't think I'm going to be playing the CD as such. Like, no, I never do that. No. I always listen to others' music, not mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess the mixing is very difficult to mix this kind of stuff because of the dense production and instrumentation, the tuning of the music and my guitar a little down, lower than usual, and it's very difficult for Roland to have a great balance. But I think Roland has achieved a great result, and it sounds really modern and really powerful. And not only me and the guys in the band, but our record label, we all say that Icons of the New Day might be the definitive or the ultimate album for the current times for this year. It sounds very modern, very to this day, and lyrically and musically is very current and relevant today. So, yeah.
And regarding the composition process of the album, do you guys have a meeting before you start composing, and do you guys split the work between lyrics, arrangements, melodies, riffs, etc., or do you come with material organically as you go?
It depends. But in these last two albums, I was more driven, and I'm a guy that is very compulsive and very working on full tilt all the time. And I may go to the meetings and the rehearsals with many of the songs already done, and obviously we all discussed together which songs we like to record at the end, and the final arrangements depends on all of us, and we then fine-tuning the lyrics. So at the end it's a more collaborative process, but in the beginning we are composing by our own and presenting the demos of the songs to the other guys as much finished as we can.
I see. And in a couple of versions of the new album, there's a bonus CD with very interesting choices of cover songs: Queen's Innuendo, Anthrax's Only, and more. How did you guys pick such a diverse array of covers?
Yeah, first we we like to show that we are we have a very wide music tastes and likes, and then we normally go for those songs that you wouldn't expect, more the gems of those albums, like the obscure songs. So with Queen, most famous songs like, I don't know, We Are the Champions or We Will Rock You, or whatever, has been way too much covered by everybody. So for us as a musicians is a more beautiful challenge to go for something more difficult, more challenge for ourselves. And Innuendo was one of our favorites, one of the most difficult songs to recreate. That's for sure. And then, for example, we did in the past Lady of the Lake from the album Long Live Rock and Roll by Rainbow, and we love all those songs, but we may be playing at rehearsals or even at live shows and chorus, like Long Live Rock and Roll or Kill the King or even Gates of Babylon. But Lady of the Lake was that kind of favorite song only for real fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
deeper cuts.
Yeah, that's right. Same thing with Edge of the Blade by Journey. Going for Don't Stop Believing or I don't know, one of those songs or Separate Ways, it wouldn't have much sense for us. But Edge of the Blade, I think, is a very special song, and I think it was a good choice.
Yeah, you touched on Edge of the Blade, and you mentioned Steve Perry early on in our talk. I think that Journey influence is noticed in a song like World Gone Mad from the new album, right?
Yes. Yeah, even with our modern production, our heavy metal edge and everything, if you go deep, I think we have a lot of arrangements that you may find coming from influences like Journey or Queen or Whitesnake, bands way more melodic. And in the end, at least Ronnie and me, we are fans of that music more than extreme heavy metal. For example, Andy, the drummer, is more with the Metallica, Pantera kind of thing. But Ronnie and me, we are fans of Queen or Rainbow, of course, Bad Company, Journey, Foreigner. So, there is for sure that kind of melodic influence, and also a huge influence in songwriting. So maybe it's not obvious in the first impression because you have a wall of sound of guitars and heavy metal production, but we are really huge fans of much more melodic stuff.
And you mentioned Andy, and he's the drummer and also plays keyboards in certain songs of the album, and very key arrangements here and there in the songs. Have you thought of the idea of bringing an actual keyboard player to your live shows or not?
Yes, we've been discussing about that all the time. I guess it depends if the things keep going better and better, and we can add more structure and more budget to the overall thing. I guess we can count with someone to go and play with us. Actually, the keyboard parts that, as you can imagine right now, those piano and synth parts on our live shows are backing tracks along our playing. So yeah, definitely waiting to find the right guy for that, and trying to make the whole thing more financially viable and everything, so we can get a budget to be traveling with one more guy on the road and everything.
I see. And you just mentioned that you're doing rehearsals right now, and I think that many of the songs in the new release have a great live potential. How aggressively are you planning to go on tour with the new album?
Oh yeah, for now we have a few summer festivals here. We will be opening for Ozzy Osbourne in Prague, and then we'll be opening for Judas Priest here in Spain. So in those situations that you only have 45 or 50 minutes, I think for now we will be playing probably War Gone Mad with its instrumental prelude and maybe Icons of the New Days. For sure, we'll be adding When a Hero Takes a Fall and Falling and Not in a Place Like This. And I hope for our own tour later on the year, we have enough time to put All I Have Left, which is the last song of the album, and it lasts over 11 minutes. So I think we'll be starting playing 2 songs for now in those summer festivals, and hopefully in our own tour we'll be playing like 5, 6, 7 songs from this album.
Okay, in the new video for Icons of the New Days, unless we're mistaken, that looks like a Ibanez Prestige RG that you're playing, right? Is that your primary go-to guitar these days?
Yeah, that's my main guitar for over 15 years now. I have a new ones because I actually have a contract with Ibanez. I've been a Ibanez endorsee for 20 years, but I always go back to my old personal instruments, and they are all from 89, 90, 92. Even some of those guitars, I bought them secondhand years later, and those for me are the best. In that particular video, I have a model, it's called US Custom RG. So that was a very limited run production in the mid-90s, and it was actually American made, not Japanese made. And in the second video, War Gone Mad, I'm using the other main guitar for Also Black. Is another Ibanez RG US Custom with a beautiful graffiti, with a beautiful graphic design. Have you watched that video already or not?
I have. And I was going to ask you about it. Can you explain a little bit about the concept of, especially the title track? Because it's a curious video. Is there a specific message here or story? Anything about substance abuse or bad influences?
Well, it's like in general, Icons of the New Days, the album, the song in particular, and also War Gone Mad, is a lot related to the actual and future war and the way technology, artificial intelligence, and stuff of that nature are changing not only the war and our civilization, but ourselves as human beings, both mentally and physically. So it's like we are witnessing every day in real time, if you will, changes that are very deep and even traumatical in our lives. So, if you are familiar with movies like Blade Runner or Ghost in the Shell or Ex Machina,
of course,
kind of stuff has been recurrently coming to my mind all the time. That dilemma that maybe I don't know if in 10 years, but maybe in 20 or 30 years from now, we'll be sharing the world with replicants or robots or whatever. And that's an interesting issue because we are in a process of dehumanization with this technology and all the internet things and the social nets and all that stuff. And we are like losing our track as human beings. So that's something that is very interesting for me in order to make these lyrics. So, yeah.
Yeah. And last year you guys played the Prog Power USA Festival in Atlanta. You just mentioned that in the beginning of our talk. How important was that for the band as a whole? How significant was that?
Yeah, it was definitely one of the highlights of the last year. I didn't really know what to expect. In the beginning, I just thought it was just another festival, like we have already done many more before, even Wacken in Germany, which is the largest in the world right now, or Loud Park in Japan, that is also very prestigious, and it's like something very, very important. It's like a big deal playing there. But as soon as we landed in Atlanta and everything was so professional, all the crew and all the organization was like family. They were really so cool. All of them. It's like we not only played our regular set on the first day on Friday. We were the band chosen to play the VIP special show, and for that VIP special show, we did a whole set of covers, like 1 hour and a half, and you couldn't believe the fans going crazy when we play for them pieces from Ark, pieces from Queensryche, pieces from we actually played Age of the Blade by Journey for the first time right there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, cool. And we played some Dio and Black Sabbath songs, and everybody went crazy. I remember when we were going to play the encores, and we were in the dressing room, catching our breath just before going for the last 2 or 3 songs. And those last 2 or 3 songs, I believe it was like Anarchy X. I remember now going into that was the intro, going into Anarchy X, Revolution Calling, and everybody went crazy. So it was truly a night to remember. Both days, both nights, both shows were truly something to remember. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I can imagine. And did you feel any difference between the audience of European fans versus North American fans?
Not really, at least in this kind of music. They were really hardcore fans, really old school guys, in the sense that they really knew the stuff. They really knew about musicianship. Obviously, you can see the age of all the fans. Mostly are way over 30 years old. So that's the problem, because I remember back in the day, in the 80s, when I was 12 or 13 years old, and I was already way deep into rock and heavy metal, and you could turn on the TV and get the MTV, and you could easily watch Metallica or Kiss or Def Leppard in the TV. And right now you can only see stupid electronic music, rap, and maybe country music, and that's all. So the teens, the guys, the people in their teens right now are not really exposed to classic rock and heavy metal, and it's a shame. I'm really worried about that, because it seems like the whole scene, it depends on us and people that we are over 30 and 40 years old. So it's difficult. I don't know.
Yeah. I certainly take that as a challenge and as a mission statement for me, because my daughter is 3 years old. She'll be 4 next month, and I try to expose her to a whole range of rock and metal and things like that. But yeah, it's an uphill battle for sure.
Yeah. I'm doing the same with my little baby, and for sure he's not gonna be a supporter of rap or electronic music. I'm telling you that now.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Another question about your latest solo record, Actual Events. It's 9 years old now. Do you have any plans in the near future for a follow-up of that one?
Well, I'm recording new stuff all the time, but the problem is I'm actually recording a new album completely different to Lords of Black. I can't say anything at this moment, but it will be revealed soon. But it's not going to be instrumental, because instrumental music right now there is no market for that. There is no real market for music or rock in general. Then you imagine how bad is the market for instrumental music or jazz or blues music. There is no market at all. So putting like 1 year or maybe 2 years of my time and efforts and more than 10 grants on production or whatever for getting the music for free is something that really is not appealing to me. So I don't know.
Yeah, understood. So I want to thank you for being with us today. It has been a great conversation for sure. And as I said in the beginning, your new album, Icons of the New Days, is hitting the streets today. Naturally, our readers and listeners can check out the new video on our website, sonicperspectives.com. But can you tell us where we can pick up a new copy of the new album?
Well, you can go to the Frontiers web shop, but you can also go to our own online web shop, lordsofblack.com, because there you can order the CD with hand-signed posters, t-shirts, and stuff you can only get through us directly.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us, and we'll be in touch soon, and all the best with the promotion of the new album.
Thank you so much, guys. I had a great time talking to you guys.
Thanks. Take care, man.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you for listening to our chat with Tony Hernando from Lords of Black. I honestly hope you enjoyed it. And make sure you check out their new album, Icons of the New Days, which hits the stores today. Once again, my name is Rodrigo Altaf, reviewer, interviewer, and contributor of Sonic Perspectives. And I encourage you to use any of the links below to subscribe to our podcast or YouTube channel, and to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to get notified about the new content we publish on a daily basis. I'm gonna go now, leaving you with the first album track and first single, World Gone Mad. See you soon.
Off my mind, I'm the master of what you call life, with no weakness of the humankind. Waved it down, the evil never dies. Endless power is my only pride, and I just deny morality, reaching out for immortality. When it comes to see the wicked side, it's the danger of a crashing fight. It's the right that goes the other side. Feel like you're the god of screen. Are you sure you want to step outside? Give away the powers to the land, where you can't defy the gravity, and you just deny insanity. Are we living fast on borrowed time, way beyond the place where we can hide? Did we cross the point of no return? tough